Caitlin now joins us via Skype from New Hampshire, where she writes, teaches, advocates for mental wellness. Thank you so much for being with us, Caitlin.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Let's get right into it and talk about your website, which showcases many of your great talents. Tell us how you share those in the classroom.
Sure. So I have taught theology for the last couple of years at Bishop Girton High School. And I really try to incorporate the students into learning how to journal. That's how we started every class period with me, was learning how to journal and put our thoughts into words. Because at first, growing up, I grew up in a devout Catholic family, and I knew all those memorized route prayers. And then at a certain point, learning to have that conversation with God was the next part in my own prayer journey. And so learning, helping students to learn that as well, I've found that writing is a great tool to be able to accomplish that.
And Caitlin, speaking of writing, you have written a variety of publications, I know, including our good friends at the Grotto Network based at Notre Dame. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I first was introduced to the Grotto Network when I was a grad student at Notre Dame. I was doing the ECHO program through the McGrath Institute of Church Life, which is an incredible program, highly recommend it. And the Grotto Network was just getting launched around the time that I started.
Okay.
And I love their mission to connect to millennials and to really be a bridge to that millennial world who's trying to navigate their own spiritual life. And so I was able to have the opportunity this past December to write for them and to talk about different ways to take care of your mental health during the holiday season, which especially for college students can be a particular time, difficult time. There's all that transition of coming home after having your own freedom away from home, and particularly during the pandemic. So it was a great honor to be able to write for them.
Did you know, by the way, that we air live every Sunday morning, the Mass at 10 o'clock from the Basilica of the Sacred Heart on the campus of the University of Notre Dame?
I did know that. I love that.
Just thought I'd throw that in there. It was a little promo, impromptu promo.
Now, Caitlin, you were talking about navigating your spiritual life too. I know in the website you talk about your reversion to the Catholic faith. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, I grew up in a devout Catholic family, and I went to Catholic high school, and that really influenced my desire to go to a Catholic college. It was during my freshman year that I really, really struggled with my own spiritual faith and trying to figure out, is this the faith that I want, or is it just what my parents have handed on to me? At the same time, I was struggling with my own mental health issues. And I really was trying to figure out, where is God in my life? And with both my parents, who encouraged me to continue to go to Mass as often as possible, certainly on Sundays, but whenever else. Through different spiritual mentors, Seth Evangelo became a great friend of mine, and I ended up working with him. And through a program through Christ Life called Discovering Christ, which is similar to Alpha, I discovered my personal relationship with Jesus, which I hadn't fully cultivated before, and fell back in love with this faith, and particularly the intellectual side of our faith, which is what led me to pursue my master's in theology.
And you were obviously an advocate for destigmatizing mental illness, particularly within the church, within Christian circles. Why do you think there is such a stigma? And how can we become viable advocates in your mind?
Sure. I am an advocate. It's actually what I wrote my capstone on as I concluded my graduate degree. And I think it actually right now comes from a place of protection that in a sense is beautiful, protection of the soul. We live in a time where we like to just think of the human person as a body, and we forget about the reality that we are body, mind, and soul. And I think the secular world tries to detract from that aspect of the spiritual. In particular Christian and Catholic circles, in an attempt to protect the soul, to protect the spiritual life, I think there's a resistance to anything that might undermine that. And unfortunately, sometimes there are therapists who aren't looking to advocate for the spiritual side, for both care of the mind and the soul. So I think that's where it really starts to come from. And in my experience, the best way to move forward is to remind one another that God intended us to be body, mind, and soul. And we have to be able to take care of both. And when your soul is suffering, of course, everything else suffers too. But when your mind suffers, that can make it really difficult as well to encounter God. And so to do the hard work of having parishes that have resources to Catholic therapists, which is a growing profession, I think, and people are starting to recognize that need, any sort of resources that advocate and give parents and young people the tools to take care of their whole being is a really great place to start.
Well, it's been great having you with us today. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're probably prepping for the new school year. But before you go, could you just tell us, all of our viewers, how people can learn more about your great work, your writing, and your advocacy for the holistic advocacy for people?
Yes. So my website is probably the best place to do that. It's Caitlin, that's Caitlin, Sica, Sica.com.
Caitlin Sica, thank you so much for being with us. We hope you enjoy the rest of your time before the school year starts, and may God bless you as you begin the new school year and in everything that you do.
Thank you so much, Bishop.
Okay, take care, Caitlin. God bless.